We live, baby. Welcome to part 2 of FAFSA-ready. Today we're going to talk about the to-do list. I'm just trying to get my little setup right. Hey guys, how are we? How is everything? Oh my gosh, so much has happened since we last talked. It is that time.
Mizz P, holla if you're trying to get on track.
Hey.
Mizz P, holla if you're trying to get on track.
Hey.
Mizz P, holla if
Hey
you're trying to get on
guys.
track. One more time for my people sitting in the back.
Wonderful. We are back for part 2 of our FAFSA-ready series. So tonight we are going to talk about the to-do list, right? So last week, if you missed last week we talked about foundational stuff. Like, what is the FAFSA? One of the things that I did heavily last year, I worked with several schools and organizations to support them with the FAFSA work in helping students and their parents to get their FAFSAs done and in. And so because of that, I learned a lot of stuff. I learned that people don't necessarily consider what the thing actually is and just like what they think it's supposed to do, right? And so last week, I wanted to talk about what it is, what it ain't, just so that you have the foundational knowledge to move forward. A lot of times, what I notice, and this is across the board and runs the gamut, I think sometimes people assume that the FAFSA is supposed to give you whatever it is that you need, but there is a limit, right? We talked about last week that the Pell Grant is $7,395. So for some of you guys, that $7,395 is going to do great for you. It's going to do well for you, right? And for some of you guys, you have to start planning a different way to meet your college costs, because $7,395 for some of you is going to be just a drop in the bucket, right? And so today, now that we have the foundational knowledge of what it is, what it ain't, the policies surrounding it that have changed, right? So we know that, this ugly bill changed a lot of things with the student loans, right? Which are going to start affecting people in 2026. Right now, we are getting ready for the FAFSA to open for the 2026-2027 school year, which means that anybody doing this particular FAFSA will be affected by any policy passed by our government next year, right? And so if you were thinking that you were going to get a loan to support your educational pursuits, know that things have changed, right? Not only with you being able to get access to a loan, but also on the repayment side as well. And so we talked about that last week. This week, we are going to get prepared for when the application actually launches, right? And so I have my handsy danzy notes here. Hey Jimmy, hey All Kids Play. So let's talk about what you should know about the FAFSA. Okay, so the FAFSA is split up into 2 parts, right? So this was, again, I don't think there was a counselor in the room when they passed this, but they decided to break the application into 2 different parts, right? And so the student will complete a side, and then the parent will also complete a side. In order for the application to actually go through, right, both sides need to be completed. Now, what if you're an independent student, right? There are some students who qualify as being independent. Everybody cannot decide to be independent. In fact, inside of the FAFSA, there is a questionnaire. You will answer certain questions, and that questionnaire will determine whether or not you are a dependent student, meaning your parents provide some of your support, or if they feel like, right, because even with independent students, sometimes the parents are not necessarily providing support, but or there might be somebody providing some support, but they feel like because of the situation, right, they're going to take the parents out of it. So just something to note there. It does not take long to complete. I have been playing around with the system. So for us college access folks, we get to use a demo site. And so with that demo site, we get to play around in it and kind of see how the application will function. So like year to year, we know what the changes are. There has been a few different changes. One of them being the gender question. So the gender, you can only pick male or female. So if you are anything in between, you decide you want to be a they or whatever, they do not have that option. So you're going to pick the gender that's closest to what you feel like, right? The other thing is that the parent invite is a little bit different. So the way the FAFSA works is on an invite system, right? So if I'm the student and I start the FAFSA, I have to invite my parent to my form. Okay. So, in order for me to invite my parent to the form, there is a form inside of the FAFSA that will ask for your parents' information. Okay. So, this year, the great part about it is that this year, the only thing that you're going to need from your parent is their email address. Okay. Last year, they needed email address, the parent's date of birth, their parent's social security number, and it would happen right in the middle of the application, which means that you cannot go any further than that information. Now that is no longer there. The invite process happens at the end. So as long as you have the parent's email, you're good to go. The other thing that changed is that there is a code that's there, but the code will be present for the parent. So when the parent opens up their thing, they'll see the code. It just has to match what the student has, and they're going to copy that code and put it inside of there, and everything is easy peasy, pumpkin squeezy. Okay. The thing to note about the FAFSA is that you're required to have an FSA ID, right? And so the FSA ID is a check within the Social Security Administration. The goal is, right, they want to make sure that you're a living, breathing human. I'm going to tell you a story. Back in the day, before they had all of this, right? And so like, it was still a form that was online and everything like that. But before, you had to have like a PIN and things like that in order to get past certain things in there. And I remember sitting down with a parent, and her only child was ready to go to college, and we're doing the FAFSA. It's great. We think we're going to get past something. And as we're doing it, it's like, yeah, nah, you already have your social inside of the system. And she's like, it's my only kid. I didn't go to college. So what's the problem? So we call FAFSA and come to find out somebody's child had been using her to go to college for how many ever years, right? And so on their side, it's like, oh, you already did this for whoever you think you did it for. It's already done. She's like, I have one child. I have one daughter, like literally, right? And that girl is now going to college. So can we fix this, right? And it took a whole lot of identity things. There was so many things that had to be done in order for her to prove her identity, so that whoever was using her information could like, right, get in trouble for it and let it go so that she can do what she had to do for her daughter. So this is one of the reasons why they do this Social Security Administration check. Beyond that, also, it's a citizenship thing too, right? Like you have to be a citizen of the United States or eligible non-citizen in order to get FAFSA funds, right? And so that check is supposed to happen automatically, right? You finish doing your FSA ID, and as soon as you complete your FSA ID, you are going to be able to move forward with the application. You can literally do the application at the same time, get your FSA ID, and then move forward. So that's the great part. The other thing is that each contributor needs one, right? And so let's talk about what a contributor is, right? So a contributor is anybody who's going to put information on the FAFSA. That includes the student, right? So if I am a student, I am a contributor. My parent is going to be a contributor. If I have a parent was married to another parent, that is a contributor. If I have two parents who happen to live together, they're not married though, those are contributors for the FAFSA. Okay. And so the contributor is anybody who is entering information on the FAFSA form. Okay. Just for clarity, I'm live in two places. I see people like coming in and popping in. We're like, I don't know, right? So if you see my eyes doing a thing, it's because I'm trying to monitor both screens. Anywho, um, so going back to the FSA ID, after this live ends, I do have a video tutorial about how to get your FSA ID. So if you want to check that out, send me a DM. I'll send you the link, or you can check the link in my bio. It won't be active until 7:45, I think is what I set it for. So after 7:45, you'll be able to get the link. All I want you to do, if you get it and you use it, watch it all the way through, get your FSA ID, and then leave me a note saying that you got your FSA ID. Cool? Cool. Awesome. All right, back to the thing. Okay. One thing to note about the FAFSA also is that it transfers information from the IRS, right? And so they used to call it a data retrieval tool. I don't know, I forgot what it's called, FSS or something like that. There's so many acronyms. It's literally alphabet soup on this side of the fence. But what happens is you have to give the FAFSA consent to be able to get your information from the Social Security Administration. At the point you say, nah, I don't want this, they cannot give you any money. Okay. So let's be clear. You do not give consent. You do not get a dollar or a dime. So something to note, because a lot of people are like, well, what they need on my, the information's already where they can get it. Right. So being able to give the consent will allow you to be able to move forward with the FAFSA. Okay. The other thing, I have to mention this. If the FSA ID tool, or the IRS tool, excuse me, does not work, you might have to enter your stuff in manually, right? So I have parents who are like, well, I filed my taxes. What's the problem, right? It should be able to find me. And it could be something, could be a glitch with your name. Maybe you have it written a certain way. On the actual tax forms, then they have then you're writing inside of the thing. It could be so many different things, right? It could be that you didn't file for a while, right? Like there's so many different reasons why you would have to enter your data manually, but just know that for some families, and it's not all, it happens every once in a while, but if you are asked to put in your information manually, inside of the FAFSA, they have numbers to the lines of the tax forms so that you can put your information in, right? You won't get it wrong, I promise, as long as you follow directions, okay? So yes, that is the things you need to know about the actual application, right? So now that you know about the actual application, right? And let's go back from the beginning, right? It's split into two parts. Students do a part and parents do a part. Doesn't take long to complete, 20-25 minutes tops. I literally go through the demo site in about 20 minutes, right? And it's giving you information to put in there. So, if you have all of your things present and you know where all your stuff is, it shouldn't take you longer than that. You need your FSA ID to start. If you don't have your FSA ID before you begin, you can't get into the application, right? Like that's literally your key to the lock. And each contributor needs one. So all of the parents, if you're married, filing anything, joint, separate, it doesn't matter. Two of y'all need to be on that FAFSA form, right? If you live together and you're both, financially taking care of the child, they want both of y'all on the FAFSA form. So just something to note. Yeah, okay. So now what do you need to apply? Let's talk about that, right? So we need the FSA ID. You need access to your tax forms. Like I said before, there are some people, for some strange stroke of luck, they just have to put in their stuff manually. And if you have to put your stuff in manually, you need to make sure that you have your documents present, right? It will make the actual application process go a lot faster if you have everything you need before you begin. A lot of times people are like kind of like fighting, oh my gosh, I don't know where I put that paper. Oh my gosh, I got to call the tax guy. If you have all the things you need prior to the FAFSA opening, you'll be as good as gold and you can get through the application as fast as possible. The other thing for the student, they need a list of up to 20 schools. Do you need 20 schools? No. Okay. If you have 10, it's okay, right? One thing that I really hate to see students doing, right? Like they were like, oh, I applied to 40 colleges. And it's like, for what? Now, if you get a fee waiver, that's fine, but that is a lot of labor. I highly recommend to get really strategic and to get really laser focused on who belongs on your list. At the end of the day, everybody doesn't get to go. Okay. I don't care what nobody says. Everybody doesn't get to go, right? Everybody does not deserve a spot on your list. So when I see a lot of students doing like emotional labor, because it is a lot of emotional labor when you're applying for college, it is a lot of emotional labor. And so when I see young people going through all the stress of applying to all these schools and sometimes not even thinking about, are these schools good for me, right? I just want to see the number, right? I just want to have a lot of options, right? I don't recommend it unless there is a strategy, right? There, right? Like if you feel like, right, some of the schools that you apply to will probably give you more money and things like that, go for it. Do what you do, right? But if you're just doing it just for seeing the number, right? Or to be able to say, I got into 40 schools or whatever, I don't think it's not necessary, right? And so let's say I want to start the FAFSA when it launches, right? Like, or the week that it launches, we'll talk about that. If I want to do the FAFSA the week that it launches or whatever, right? If I only have one school that is, supposed to be on my list or, made that spot, then that one school is fine as a placeholder. The one thing about the FAFSA, you can do corrections. So you don't have to feel locked in. Like if I don't have all my 20 schools by the time it opens, I can't do the FAFSA. That's not true, right? You have one school, right? You can always go back and do a correction. And when you do a correction, you add the schools that you want. You can also take away schools that you feel like, I'm not even going to waste your time by sending this data over there because I know I'm not going, right? So you can take away or add schools to your heart's content. You don't have to have all the 20 schools. You don't have to put 20 schools at one time. You can split it up, right? And once you are more confident about who belongs on your list, later on you can go back and add them. But you just want to have some to start so that they can begin the calculation. Okay. Awesome. All right. So things to remember. Okay. Now that we have an idea about what we need, we have an idea of what this application looks like on the inside. Let's talk about some things to remember. You want to get your FSA ID before the app opens. Sometimes people have some issues. I remember sitting with one child. We were there for, like, I usually spend most of the day with like a particular school doing FAFSAs or maybe a couple hours or something like that. And I remember that period happened to be first period. It was like 8 something in the morning. It's 8 something in the morning. He has an issue. We literally did not get it resolved until the next day. Okay, because he had to do a lot of different things. Although he was a US citizen and stuff like that, something about his information was funky. And so there was a whole lot of things we had to do to prove his identity for him to be able to move forward, right? If he had the idea, right, like, oh, I'm just going to do everything all in one day, right, like that would have been obliterated right then just because of that, right? And so, like, if you can get your FSA ID prior to the application launch, that's wonderful, because if there's any issues, and it happens with everyone, whether you're a citizen or non-citizen, it happens with everyone, you might have an issue, right? We can't predict who's going to have the issue and who's not. Nothing makes sense anymore. So some people might have an issue and some people may not. Make sure you get your FSA ID ahead of time so that if there is an issue with your credentials, you can rectify that before the start of everything, right? So you don't get caught up and lost in the sauce, because sometimes people give up, right? Like, oh my gosh, I keep having trouble. I tried to log in so many times and it's not working. And I've seen it. I've seen the crocodile tears. I've seen it all. So to remedy that, do it before the application launches. Yes, you can get your FSA ID right now. You cannot apply for FAFSA yet. There are some people who got invited to the beta and some people who elected to be in the beta program. And so the beta program right now is opening. It's opened up to people who want to test the site. But I would wait. I actually was in a meeting with a bunch of college access counselors, and one of the things, the gentleman has like great ties to the U.S. Department of Education, and he recommended that folks wait. So like, don't do it on exactly October 1st. Maybe wait a few days, right? Just because, right? Like, there's going to be glitches in the system. We've seen it every single year that it's been open. Okay, every single year that I've been doing this work, there is glitches that happen on the first, second, and sometimes third day, right? And so give it a couple of days and then jump back into it and then try to get your credentials after. Okay, don't do it when it launches. So October 1st, maybe like October 5th, October 6th, somewhere around there. That's when you should start it. Now, nobody told me this. Nobody told me this. I'm saying this. Okay, me, Mizz P. Do not let November 15th catch you. If you are applying for early action, early decision, right? Which means that you will likely have a decision for the college that you apply to by December. You need to get your application in before Halloween. Okay. And that for the reason of when people do early action or early decision, you're getting a full decision, right? They're going to tell you packaging, they're going to tell you all of that all at once. And so you need to have your FAFSA done. If it is a more selective college, I'm not going to talk about this tonight, but there is something called the CSS profile, which is a whole different application, right? And so for the more selective colleges, I'm talking about a Harvard, a Yale, a Princeton, a Columbia, right? Like, these schools have an additional financial aid form called the CSS profile. It costs money. It's $25 for the first school. So like, if you have 4 schools that are considered selective, the first school would be $25. Each school after that will be $16. If your family makes under 100,000, I believe, you can get a fee waiver, and then you don't have to pay the fees at all for those schools. Okay, so just something to note there. The other thing, you want to get your list ready. As many schools as you can muster, right? Like, if you don't have 20 schools, if you don't have 10, it's okay. Start with one of the schools, 2 of the schools, put it on your application, just so that you can get your application in. Remember, the FAFSA acts more like a calculator. And so if you want to get your calculation right, you want to make sure that you put at least one school, you see what you're dealing with, and then that can also help you to figure out what other schools to apply to, right? Because if you know you're only going to get $5,000 and that's all you're going to get, plus whatever loans or whatever they offer you. So for students, they can't borrow more than $5,500 in their first year. If you know that's all you have, then you need to really be thinking about other ways that you can get the cash that you need to pay for school. That can be applying for scholarships. That could be, right, parents breaking into that savings account and figuring out how they're going to make the difference, or whether that is diversifying that college list so that you have schools that are more affordable on your list, so that if the schools are not showing you the money, and let me tell you something, okay? Apply to the schools you want to, right? But if they're not showing you the money, they're not showing you that cash, that coin, that dollar, it's time to move on. Okay. At the end of the day, we do not, we no longer have the luxury. Let's keep it a buck. We no longer have the luxury of just applying willy-nilly. We don't have the luxury of going to schools that we cannot afford. They will literally break you. Okay. Financially, it will literally break you to be at a school that you literally can't afford. Okay. Colleges want their money by the deadline. They're not waiting for you to figure it out. Oh, I'm gonna figure out my payment plan. Da, da, da. They want you to have that ready so that when that bill comes, you're not shaking in your boots. I will tell you this: you are able, though, to negotiate your package. Now, how much you can get extra, right, is dependent on the school. and how much they feel like they can give you, how much they have in their coffers, right? If they're able to give you more, they will, right? It is not a guaranteed thing though, right? Because it all depends on when you apply, which a lot of times when I see families who really need the money, they often apply very late in the process and then are looking at the package like, how am I going to do this? Right. And so the reason why I preach do your FAFSA early is because if you do not have it, right, and you have to figure something out, you have enough time to figure that out. What happens is people are like, oh, April, May, June, right? College starts in August, right? Some people start earlier than that if they're doing like a summer program, right? If you don't have it, it's going to make it very, very difficult for you, right? And so I highly recommend getting your FAFSA done early, right? My deadline is November 15th. I also say, right, don't let January catch you, right? So like after you had your little break, right, you got yourself together, you got your life together, January 1st, Happy New Year. My FAFSA need to be in. Okay. I will also say that check in with a couple of different people. One, you're going to check in with your school counselor. Some school counselors have their own internal deadlines because they have so much to do. Okay. So some school counselors might be in charge of writing your letters of recommendation. They are definitely the person who is the liaison between you and the college that you want to go to. And so there's a lot of work behind the scenes that you guys don't see, right? If they also have to deal with you not doing your financial aid paperwork and this and that and the third, it keeps them back, which means that you don't get the support you need. Right. And so the earlier that you can do these things, they can also advocate for you, right? Especially if they have relationships to the colleges that you want to go to. Your school counselor, a lot of the time, is your line of defense, right? Sometimes they can go to bat for you and be like, hey, I know this family is going through this, da 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 da. We need more money, right? They can do that for you if you do things early enough. If you wait too late, right? They're spent and they can't help you in the slightest, right? And so that is the recommendation. Get your stuff done early. Talk to the counselor and see what their internal thing is. The other people that you need to talk to is the schools that are on your list, right? Because some schools have their own deadlines for certain programs, right? And so like if there's a specific program that you're going into, right, you're not going in undecided, right? You're not doing liberal arts, right? Like you have a path. Some programs, like I know some engineering programs, right, things that are more competitive to get into, you definitely want to check with them to see when they want those things submitted so they can figure out whether or not you can get a scholarship, or right, like a lot of times, sometimes it's dependent on that. But if you don't get that thing done early, right, you'll never know what you could have gotten. Okay. And the last place to look, and well, you're not going to talk to them, but you're going to go to the website. You're going to go to studentaid.gov, okay? And you're going to look for the deadline for your state, okay? So states have different deadlines than you think, right? So you might be like, oh, I'm going to get it done this time. And your state is like, if you don't get it done by this, you're getting nothing, right? Texas is one of them states. You missed that deadline. Sorry, right? New York, we be having a deadline, but kids be doing stuff whenever they feel like it, right? I'm gonna keep it real honest with you. I've seen kids apply for FAFSA well after June 30th and still get something, but that's our state. I don't know about the other states, okay? So you want to make sure that you find out what your state's deadline is, and then that will also help to guide the conversation about when you and your parent are going to complete the application, right? The other thing I wanted to let you guys know. So with the dependency thing, right? And so we talked a little bit about that before, right? Like who gets to be independent, who gets to be dependent. The independent students, right? Depending on where you fall, right? So if you're an orphan, a ward of the state, if you have a child that receives more than half your support, if you are in a legal guardianship, an emancipated minor, or homeless at any time, at the time that you're applying, you can be considered independent. Now, for those students, depending on what your situation is, you're going to have to prove that also, right? And so you want to give yourself time also to gather whatever you need, right? Whether that is a letter from the courts or whatever it is that you need to be able to prove that, obituaries, whatever it is, you need to make sure you have enough time to gather that evidence, because not the FAFSA is just going to ask you questions. You're going to just check off what you identify with. And then after that, the colleges themselves may be like, hey, in order for me to give you anything, I need to see a proof that you are whatever, right? You're an orphan, you are in a legal guardianship. We need that paperwork. And then we will file it on our side. And then once we file it on our side, it will change what is on the other side, right? And so it will always be in there that way, so that you don't have to necessarily keep changing, toggling it every time that you apply for the FAFSA in other years. Okay. So it's very important that you keep that line of communication with the school that you are going to. Whatever they're asking you to do, if you do your things early, you'll have enough time to submit any documentation that's needed. For students who are dependent students, you might be getting verified later, right? And so you want to be 100% an open book, right? You want to make sure you're putting exactly what your situation is on your FAFSA form, because they will ask questions, right? They will verify you. They will say, hey, you put this on the FAFSA, right? We need to see that, right? And if it doesn't match up, it doesn't align, that's on you, right? You can get in trouble for that. Actually, on the FAFSA form, they say something about jail time and also fines of up to $20,000. I ain't got $20,000, so if you got $20,000, that's your business. But I recommend, being 100% truthful. You know, things happen. And I get it, right? Like we want to go to college. It's important. I don't care what nobody says. In this climate right now, they're trying to make us dumb as rocks on purpose, right? And so they're taking away these things because they know that knowledge is power. They're very clear that knowledge is power, right? And so if they're trying to take these things away, right? Like there's a reason for it. So if I want to go to college, I need to do everything right so I can do what I need to do, get the information I need to get so I can level up in my life and my career. Okay. So we're going to tell the truth. We're going, right? We're not trying to finagle stuff. We are going to do what we're supposed to do, right? At the end of the day, we're going to pick schools that we can get into. We're going to pick schools that we can stay in. Let me back that up. Okay. Pick a school you can get into. Yes. Pick a school you can stay in. Okay. There is one thing about getting, you hear this thing, in the college access where we say to and through college, right? It is great to get in. We want you to stay in. We want you to finish. We want you to graduate. We want you to have a degree. If you are not, right, setting yourself up for success by picking schools that you can actually afford, all that is for naught, right? Now you're sitting there wondering whether or not you're going, eat peanut butter and jelly, right? Peanut butter jelly is great, but I don't want it for dinner every night because I ain't got no money, right? Because my money has to go to the student loan people. I don't want that, right? I want to be able to be comfortable. I hope that's what you guys want also. So we have to do things in the right way to make sure that we're able to do those things. Cool. How long does the financial aid process take once the schools receive it? So it depends. Last year was a mess. The year before that, a mess. So I'm not even sure what to say here because every year is different. Last year, there was some issues with executive orders and things like that. And so when it was time to dole out the actual money, it made it very difficult because there were things that were changed. Then we lost people in the uh, U.S. Department of Education. And so it made it really difficult to figure out the timing of when things should happen. Usually it's like a couple of weeks after you do your application process. And then there's another process that happens on the financial aid side. So last week we talked about that, where the financial aid people have the final say, not necessarily the people at the federal government. So the people at the federal level, once they give you your calculation, is on the schools to do what they need to do. But also the federal government has to release data for those people to be able to do their job. And so when we had a lot of those jobs cut, it made it really difficult for you to be able to get your packaging and things of that nature, and for them to release the funds. So we couldn't really say. I don't know what it's going to look like this year. Usually, you would have had all that stuff like a couple months after you did your FAFSA, right? Like before the school year ends for you, you should be getting the ball should be rolling. However, with whatever's happening at the federal level, you can't even really determine whether or not they're going to stick to the schedule they've always had prior, or if it's going to be wonky again this year. I'm sorry I couldn't give you a clearer response, but like we're still all going through it right now. Last year was such a mess. Such a mess. And the sad part is that you guys get caught up in all the whatever games they playing up there. So we can't really say for sure. I know last year it was because they had changed the system. So last year was the better FAFSA. So they had released this new application that had been separated into the two parts and blah, 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 right? And so after they did that, came out in January of last year, fall came for, I guess, the second iteration. They had made some changes, but it wasn't a whole lot of changes. And then boom, we get hit with a new administration that just made everybody's lives hard. I don't know what it's going to look like next year, so I can't give you a fair timeline, just because we don't know. We don't know. The powers that be, whatever they want to do, it could change the timeline of what it is, right? So I apologize that I couldn't be more clear on that. So the other thing is I think I said that already. To pay attention to all the deadlines. Yes, I did say that. So the other thing here is to get your FSA ID. What are we waiting for? At this point in time, you get your FSA ID. Now, the only people that need the FSA ID right now are families of seniors going to college. If you are in the 11th grade and lower, you don't need that right now. When you get your FSA ID is at the end of your 11th grade year. So like sometime in June next year, right? Or September when you start your actual senior year. Right now, it is only seniors who have never applied for FAFSA. Those are the only people that should be applying, or people who are going to college for the first time who never applied for FAFSA. You can do your FSA ID now. The application does not open fully until October 1st. Right now, it is in beta, right? And so in beta, you're kind of taking your chances, right? Like pretty much they're collecting data on you if you're doing the beta, right? Did it work? Did it not work? What do we have to do better? That sort of thing. So they are, kind of trying to make it ready for October 1st. I'm hearing good things. So that's a good part, is like I've been hearing positive remarks about how it functions, which is great, which tells me that we're going to have a great rollout and we're going to have even more students complete the FAFSA this year. Last year, a lot of kids got lost in the shuffle when they decided to improve the system. So hopefully this year we'll be able to get those numbers even further up. So that's what I'm thinking. So what now, right? You have all your marching orders, you know all the things. If you want to get my tutorial, it should be up at 7:45. It is currently 7:40 right now. So at 7:45 on YouTube, that link will be live for how to get your FSA ID, and it's just a video explaining what the FSA ID is, shows you uh, the website and tells you about the types of information they're going to ask you, just so that you're prepared. So when you get on there, you can just bust it out and get it done all in one shot. So that comes out at 7:45. If you are interested in when the application opens and you just want to make sure that somebody's making sure that you got your stuff right, like you just want quality control. I have a parent, like literally, shout out to her. I don't care. She has 3 kids, right? All of them doing the FAFSA. She actually did her FAFSA for the first time this year. So proud of her, because she's going back to school, and literally hired me to sit with her to make sure she was doing it right each time, because she had to do everything manually, right? And so, like, if you would like support with that, one, I'm going to tell you to join my On Track with Mizz P community. I will leave the link here on YouTube. If you're on Instagram, you can head to the link in my bio, and it is there. It is a freemium group, which means that I don't ask for anything. If you decide that you would like to purchase an item, I have digital products coming. I'm working on a college money toolkit, because I am clear that people do not understand how to fund their college education. And so I have a digital toolkit coming. It is almost ready for release. It was ready for release, but then, the big, beautiful bill made me have to change a lot of different things, because a lot of things have changed. And so, because I want to make sure that you get accurate information, there's 2 videos I have to re-record, just because the loan landscape has changed so much. I want to make sure that you have the right information. And so that will come out soon. But anybody that is inside of my community, literally, except for my workbooks, so my workbooks, I have one for parents on Amazon right now, and it just kind of like walks them through like how to talk to your kid, what types of things to look for, what types of questions to ask. And it has questions to ask admissions, questions to ask the school counselor, questions to ask their child, right? There's information about testing. There's information about, there's a section on here for students with, parents of students with disabilities, so that they know how to navigate them. Literally everything that a parent needs to know. Literally, I wrote this book for my mom. I tell this story all the time. You're never going to hear it. My mother did her damnedest, okay? And there was just some information that she just did not have. And so I wrote this book with her in mind, of all the things that we needed to know that we did not know when we were planning for me to go to college. So that's what this book is. With the exception of this, everything that is in the community, I have different links that are like the links on my link tree are full price, right? The links inside of my community are discounted for all of the families who, thought it not robbery to be a part of the community, right? Who wanted to, be able to get weekly updates. So what happens is, when I post something, families get an immediate notification letting them know that I posted something in the group. It'll actually show you what I posted. And if you want to connect with me, right, like you have the option of actually talking to me, right? So you can go in there. There's a comment section. You can comment below the post and get clarity on whatever it is that I wrote or talked about. I do voicemails. So sometimes, it's too much to type. I'm going to be honest with you. So I'll voice record something that I want you to think about and ponder and sit on. And so I do those. We'll go live. We'll be cheering each other on and doing all those things inside of the group. So if you haven't joined yet, please join. I want to make sure that you have the right information, that you're getting timely information. And that's the best way that I can do that. So please join that. If you're ever looking for a consultation, you want to work with someone on anything related to the college process, whether that's an essay or a resume or whatever it is that you need, go to the link in my bio if you're on Instagram. If not, it is also here. It's kind of weird how they have the YouTube set up, but like on YouTube they have a section where you can get all of my links as well, and also it'll be inside of the description box below this video when I am done, which I am. So thank you guys. If you have any questions, feel free. If you don't have any questions, or you find a question that pops up later on, feel free to comment below this video. Instagram, you'll have it for a time. YouTube, it'll be up for a while. So wherever you feel comfortable, when you see the video, just drop your questions below and I'll answer as soon as possible. But thank you guys for joining. I appreciate you guys and have a great one.
Get it, get it, get it, get it, get it, get on track. Get it, get it, get it, get it, get it, get on track. Get it, get it, get it, get it, get it, get on track. One more time for my people sitting in the back.